All right. Good evening, everybody. It is Ben, aka the Fuseboxx, and it is once again time for Fuseboxx Engaged. And I've been kind of doing a thing lately where I'm trying to cycle in some new faces, trying to get to know more folks, especially folks that I've been friendly with on the internets. And there is one in particular that I have been hoping to get on the show for a while, and we finally get to meet her in person today. It is Meloria.
Oh, so close on the pronunciation.
Shit.
That's okay. It's Meliora. It's phonetic. It's pronounced exactly as it's spelled, but you can just call me Mel for short.
This is the problem with Twitter.
Yup. It's not like Slack or anything like that where you can put in a pronunciation guide, but that's okay. You're not the first, and you're definitely not the last to screw up the pronunciation, and that's not even the worst I've heard.
Well, you know, your new name is Meloria, so
Oh, great.
you've
At
been
least it doesn't
renamed.
sound like a disease that way. I think the worst one I've heard is Meloria, and I'm like, oh, that sounds like somebody's caught something. Like, I just came down with a case of Meloria. Like, oh, God, no, that's awful.
That's like every time I think of Rihanna, I think of venereal disease.
Oh, why?
I just always thought that the name Rihanna, it's like, oh God, I got a bad case of the Rihanna. You know, it burns when I
no.
pee.
I don't want to think about that. That's gross.
But it is awesome to finally have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And yeah, we have been buddies on the internets for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you backed Outlaw Nights issue number 1, which I am extremely appreciative of.
Oh, heck yeah, man. I've got it on the shelf out in the mini library right now.
Nice. Yeah, I'm going to be relaunching that bad boy. Well, issue number 2, that is. I'm going to be relaunching hopefully in a little over a month. So, you know, I'm kind of taking a breather from my promotion because I promote way too hard.
That's totally fair. I mean, it's something you care about, something you believe in, so it's understandable that you would promote the heck out of it. But yeah, you know what, taking a step back and then revisiting it again, absolutely a good idea. And hopefully it does well, because I know I enjoyed issue number 1, and I'm like, I want to see what happens next.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
But I understand that you have been working on a project of your own.
Yes, I have been. So I've been kind of going back and forth on the names, but I think I'm probably going to end up settling on Void Knight, with a K.
Shit.
Yeah. So I wanted to write a really cool fantasy story, and I haven't been seeing what I've been wanting to see out in the world. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'll do it. I may as well. And it kind of started writing itself. I did the outline, I created the characters, and then next thing I know, I'm like, oh, I have 36 pages for a single chapter. And I'm like, yeah, this is going to be a manga format.
Nice. Damn. Like, yeah, that's the way to do it, is like when, like, I love that attitude of like, it's like, well, I'm not seeing anything I want to see on the shelves. So, you know what? I'm just going to do it myself, damn it. You know?
Exactly. It's like, I don't know, man. I guess that is the best way to put it, is I'm not seeing what I want to see. So I was like, well, what's in my head seems really cool, and I want to see some of that. I want to see something fantasy. I want to see something badass. I want to have, like, you know, tugging at your heartstrings. And I'll be perfectly honest. I had some beta readers, thank goodness to all of them, who actually read through and gave me some very awesome feedback. But I had to warn them all. I'm like, chapter 1 is a slow burn, my dudes. There's no action until chapter 2 and 3. So, like, I do a lot of like setting up the scene, doing world building, like letting you get used, like introduced to the characters, seeing their personalities, and then the inciting action doesn't happen until like chapter 2, chapter 3. So like it's a slower burn, but I think it's worth it in the end. I actually just got feedback from a gentleman who gave me some feedback on it over a week ago, and he said he was still thinking about the story and trying to figure out where it was going to go. I'm like, all right, that feels good. And
Absolutely.
he only read the first chapter.
Oh yeah, no, that is the best.
Oh yeah,
like people getting invested.
Absolutely. So it's a bit of an undertaking. As I have the protagonist, the deuteragonist. I have the protagonist's sister. I set up a sword master. I've set up quite a few characters, and I'm like, I need to make sure they all get some like scene time and let you get attached to them. And of course, there's the struggle of making sure that their personalities are different enough to be identifiable, but also complementing each other really well on the page.
Oh hell yeah. And I've been mostly like, unfortunately I haven't been able to really read any of it yet, but I have been keeping an eye on your posts of I believe you've been doing preliminary sketches of the characters.
Yes, I have been. And speaking of, I should send you a draft of the first chapter, because I remember you mentioning something about wanting to read it, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, if you want to have a look at it, I need to send it your way. But yeah, I have been doing preliminary sketches of the two main characters so far, so Malin and Sybil. Malin is going to be the titular Void Knight as she progresses through the story. And her best friend Sybil is the witch that accompanies her on this little journey, this hero's journey, to speak.
Oh, nice. Hell yes. And I don't know why, maybe it's just my own weirdness, but like when I was first looking at the sketches, something about it was making me think of Chrono Trigger.
Okay, I can dig that, dude. I actually grew up on old school RPGs, like JRPGs specifically. So I'm not surprised that you probably would have felt a little bit of that vibe, because I'm not going for a traditional like Tolkien-esque fantasy. I am leaning a little bit into the JRPG side of things as an influence, just because it's like, it's fantasy. Why not be bombastic and crazy and have some fun? Like, yeah, you're gonna have the chill moments like that are down-tuned, and you're gonna have a lot of heart-to-heart and characterization, but at the end of the day, I mean, you can do whatever you want on a page. It's like, you're a director with an unlimited budget. Why not make it crazy and fun and interesting? So yeah, I'm
hell yeah,
not surprised you picked up on any sort of influence like that.
Oh yeah, like I love that. Was like, for me, that was the golden age of like the JRPG, and even like just like anime and such. Like I always loved that period of like the mid to late 90s, early 2000s. That was my favorite time period for all of that. Like nowadays, I feel like every time I see like an image of like a modern anime or like a modern JRPG, I'm always kind of like, this looks kind of like the last thing I saw.
Yeah, they're kind of falling into a little bit of a similarity trap. There's a bunch that I have on my radar. I think I want to say like, I might be getting it mixed up. I think like Grand Blue Fantasy or something like that. I've had so many things in my head for the past 24 hours, man. I can't remember names. But there's a laundry list of RPGs that I want to pick up, and I'm like, I need all of them. But I think the Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to be at the top of that list, because I need to get my hands on it and see how it is.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually, it's funny that you bring that up, because I've actually been playing the PS5 version.
Oh,
like,
dude.
Just recently. Like, I've just been playing it because, like 7 was my absolute favorite game of all time. I would say, like, in terms of like writing for games, I think my favorite script for a video game is like Red Dead Redemption 2. But 7 is always gonna like hold that major place in my heart. So,
Sweet.
and
Well,
like I remember. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I apologize. I just wanted to ask, like, without spoiling anything, how is the remake holding up then?
I can tell you it is 99% perfect.
Ooh, I love it. Love it.
The big thing though is I don't want to give it away. It's just that it's not, let me put it this way, it's not a straight up remake.
That's okay.
It's kind of a sequel.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, I can
So-
vibe with that.
Yeah, it's there's a little bit of an X-Men Days of Future Past thing going on.
Okay. I mean, if it's 99% perfect, I can live with that. That's cool.
Oh yeah, like it was, cause like when I was younger, I remembered thinking like, man, I would love to see the Seven story like fleshed out more. And like I even like, back when I was just writing like, I was just writing amateur script kind of stuff for fun in like high school. I actually tried to like come up with like an adaptation of Seven for like a movie and stuff. And when they did the remake, they basically did everything I wanted to do.
Oh, that's cool.
Because it's like following all the beats of the story perfectly, but then just fleshing it out more, making the characters a little more three-dimensional.
I like that. So you almost channeled the future, at your high school age.
Thank God, because, like really freaking, like every time I've seen remakes, like I've been disappointed. And like this was the first time that it was not a disappointment.
That's good though. So, I mean, it's going to be well worth the money that I put down on it then at the very least.
Oh yeah, it's great. I mean, my only complaint is that I wish that it went longer, because it's literally just the Midgar stuff.
Well, hopefully that means there's just more content down the road.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think they're gonna be releasing part 2 later this year.
Ooh, okay. So I definitely need to get on that sooner rather than later.
Yeah, yeah. And plus on PS5, they got they added a DLC where you play as Yuffie,
Oh, I heard about that.
and it's way more fun than I was thinking originally, because Yuffie was always kind of my least favorite character, and they actually made her really likable for me.
Oh,
in
that's
this
cool.
one.
I like that. I like that a lot. Well, sick. I'll be looking forward to trying it out. And
So
then,
you're a Final Fantasy fan.
I've dabbled a little bit. Just a smidgen. My first exposure to it was Final Fantasy VI.
Oh shit. See,
Yeah.
you're more OG than I am.
Dude, I was just a kid and I didn't know shit. Like that's all I got. Like, there was Chrono Trigger. Like, it all started from like Pokemon, so like that was my introduction into the JRPG world. I mean, like, who wasn't in my generation, right? But there's that. Gosh, like, there's so many others. There's like Dragon Quest. I mean, you could go on all day. I mean, at this point, there's as many JRPGs as there are humans on the planet, or at least it seems like. So, like, it's probably my favorite genre of gaming, like RPGs in general, but JRPGs, like that really nice party comp, sending you on a grand adventure, just perfect formula.
Oh yeah, I loved it. Like, I think I will say though, Bethesda, they won me over with American RPGs. But yeah, Final Fantasy is always gonna be special for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the first Final Fantasy I played was 8.
That's still a good jumping point.
And it was because my friend was talking about 7, and I got the Roman numerals mixed up when I rented it. So I thought I was playing 7 for like the first, like, for the first few hours. I'm like, so where's this Cloud guy? I actually named Squall Cloud because I thought that was what you had to do. I didn't freaking know.
Oh, you goofball.
I was deceived. And freaking,
okay.
yeah.
I mean, you came around in the end, but that's a really funny introduction to it, though.
I came to fall in love with the story of 8, although I think 8 is not most people's favorite. But I love it. Like, I would love to see them remake 8, but I don't think they're gonna do it.
Give it like 20 years.
I've been seeing like possibilities. Like, I've been looking through the grapevine, and I've been seeing that they might be doing something of a remake with 9.
Okay, that'd be pretty good too.
Like that's one that I'm very curious about, because 9 was like, for me at least, like, I didn't appreciate it when I was younger. I thought it was kind of like, this is kind of silly and cartoony. And then as I played it when I was older, I realized like it was way deeper than I gave it credit for.
You got tricked with the cartoony coding.
Yeah, I mean, you know, all the little animal people and stuff. Like, I thought like, oh, okay, like this is just like silly, basic stuff. And then like, there's a lot of Shakespearean themes in that game. Like, there's a lot more tragic elements than I recalled. That was back when, that was pre-Final Fantasy 13, you know.
You know, that's really how you can tell you were playing like I would say like anything like that's a masterpiece, where you can have someone young just enjoy it because it looks fun. And then as an adult, you can play the same thing and be like, oh, there was a lot of stuff I missed in this. Like, wow, all this subtext. This is heavy.
Oh, hell yeah. So let's see, what are your favorite games to play?
Well, at the moment in rotation for me, I have Dragon Quest, the original, on my Switch Lite that I've been playing through. That's just kind of a nice, like, eat up a few hours of the evening if I have nothing better to do. Otherwise, I really love playing The Witcher 3. I never finished the game because I spend so much time just fiddle farting around in it, but I enjoy it. I mean, I'll save Siri eventually, but, you know, first I got contracts to do. And then other than that, is Elden Ring is my other big obsession.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, I love all the FromSoft games. Like, they were what humbled me and chilled out my temper. It was fantastic. Like, I used to get angry so easily at stupid things, and for some reason these games just like humbled the living crap out of me. So I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I suck at the game, whatever. It's fine. I die, I'm like, well, that was my fault. No big deal. And honestly, I'm better for it. So, you know, big shout out to FromSoft for solving my temper tantrums.
I have never played like Elden Ring or Dark Souls or anything like that. Like, I've heard though that they're very frustrating.
They can be. You have to go into them expecting that you're gonna die and that you're gonna suck, because the games are built all around player skill. So if you die, it's your fault. Like, straight up. If you didn't dodge at the right second, it's all on you. So it's very punishing if you're not willing to meet the game halfway. But if you put in the time to learn it and, you know, pay attention to the enemies and their attack patterns, it's very rewarding. And then it gets to a point where it is for me, where it's very meditative. So even if I have a bad run in it, I'm still having a good time, just because I enjoy a good challenge. Like, I don't like being bored is I guess the best way to put it. So if I'm being challenged, my brain is firing on all cylinders and I'm really just happy because I'm like, yes, stuff is happening. My brain is just going and I don't feel bored. But
Hell yeah.
those are my top at the moment, but they're falling a little bit at the wayside because of this, story that I'm working on. So it's like, well, I could play a video game or I could continue working on all this art and this cool story, and it's just as fun. So that's kind of where I'm at. But
I totally know that vibe.
oh, right. But what about you? What are like some of your favorites?
Well, definitely the Final Fantasies, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
And I really love the Bethesda RPGs. Like, I love Fallout and I love Skyrim. I actually tried to write a TV show adaptation for Fallout 3 in New Vegas.
Ooh.
And then I wrote to Bethesda being like, hey, can I get your permission to do this? And they gave me the very polite, nice way of saying fuck off.
Yeah.
So
At least you got an answer.
and then I find out recently that they're doing a Fallout 4 TV show, and I got really pissed.
Oh, man. The opportunity was just stolen from you, honestly, at that point. They're just rude. They didn't know what they had.
I mean, I didn't show them what I did, but, I thought I liked my scripts.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about my stuff, too, Like, you develop taste, long before talent, and obviously you've got good taste, and the talent is there. I had to reread Outlaw Nights before we started this call so I could refresh my memory and revisit the story. And once again, when I hit the end, I was like, you son of a gun. Why did you end this here?
To be fair, I wanted to make it double that length, but I did not have the money to do so.
You know what? That's okay. That's understandable.
Because like I did kind of it kind of cuts off in a way, but it was because like that was literally the halfway mark in the script, and I felt like it was a good breaking point in terms of like, because like the second half of it kind of functions as its own little thing, I guess is the best way I can put that at the moment. I
mean, I believe you. It certainly ends on it feels like a very natural like pause point. Because I didn't feel like there was like you just cut off the story for no reason where it was. It definitely felt like a natural stopping point of just like, where's the rest of this? Like going to the back, I'm like, no, there's surely more here, and there's not. But yeah, that's okay. Like, I'll just have to like contribute, to the next campaign and hopefully help you push it to succeed, so I get to see the rest of it. Because otherwise, I'm gonna be butthurt until I get to see it.
It is my hope that I will be able to give you at least up to 8 issues. So
that would be awesome, especially on the paper stock you chose too. Like, oh, so nice.
I chose that specifically because like being a total, like I'm very klutzy and haphazard. So it's like I knew like with thin pages of like a comic, I know I would just end up destroying it.
I appreciate that
accident.
so much.
So I was like, I need something thick, something that like won't bend or break easily.
I can tell you for sure I appreciate the effort you put into that, because like as comparison, I have an issue of Spawn #1 and it's got that thin paper on there. I'm terrified to pull that out of the sleeve. Like, I have the trade paperbacks for reading it, but I'm terrified to pull that book out of the sleeve because I'm like, if I sneeze wrong, I'm gonna accidentally rip this like newspaper thin paper and I'm gonna be upset. Whereas like, with your book, I was like, Oh, this is so nice. I can turn the page and I don't feel like it's so delicate. This is beautiful.
Well, I appreciate the hell out of you reading it. And are you gonna, like, well, I mean, we kind of talked about that, but.
Oh, we can circle back around to it and we can expand on whatever questions you have. This is your show. You dictate what we talk about.
I do? Shit.
Yeah?
But what was it? No, like I know you were kind of talking in terms of Void Knight being kind of, I guess, manga style, but like, is that like, is this gonna be a comic?
Right. So, I suppose on the styling and presentation is really where we need to get some clarification down. So, in terms of visual style, it will be very much my style, which is very heavily influenced by 90s Image Comics. So, if you look at my work, you'll easily see Todd McFarlane, Greg Capullo, and Mark Silvestri in it. You'll see all three of those dudes in there because those dudes are my heroes. And I have a shameless collection of old Image comics, and I've got like a big old Witchblade compendium. Like, those guys are my heroes. So they're who I learned from. So when you see my artwork, you will see that reflected in it. So that's how it's going to look. It's going to have that look and feel to it. In terms of presentation on the page, it'll have, that very recognizable sort of comic layout where you'll be able to follow the page, doing good old graphic design and following the lines down the page. But when I say like manga, I guess what I'm really trying to talk about is kind of the delivery of not having the short limitations, such as like, limiting it to like 22 to 24 pages for an issue, but rather focusing on giving myself more room to tell the story fully. So that's why I said like the first chapter is 36 pages, and I'm aiming to have every chapter be at least 32 pages. And Ooh. It'll take multiple chapters to tell a full arc. And so, yeah, when I say manga presentation, that's what I'm talking about, where you're going to have a buttload of content to tell the story rather than doing the like Western comic style of the 22 to 24 pages per book. There's nothing wrong with it, and it certainly works for the people who use it that way. But as a writer, I cannot contain the story into that short of a space. Like I at this point, I genuinely do just need to send you the script, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's like what I'm trying to do would be such a slow pace doing like a traditional Western comic style that after issue 1, people would be like, I don't know, man, probably not. Because I'm a slow burn writer. I will be 100% upfront and honest with you with that. I'm a slow burn writer. I love slow burn stuff. Like, I love a gentle build and then get a nice burst of action to like, wet your palate and hold you over a little bit. And then take it back down and make it like a nice smooth ride. Because my biggest thing is pushing plot and developing character. Like, yes, fight scenes are awesome. They should be there to push the story and plot along. But every time I try to start something in media res or like get action going right off the bat, I end up so dissatisfied that I'm like, I want to see like all the stuff that led up to that point. So that's just why I
get that.
Yep, that's why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it. So, like, for example, the story I did, it opens up with just Malin doing her sword practice. And, you getting to see her interact with her best friend, getting to interact with her sister, her day-to-day life. And then it ends with the first little nugget of inciting incident. So at the very end of those 36 pages, I think it's in the last 2 to 3 pages that I wrote it in, is whenever you get to see when you get the nice little breadcrumb of, ooh, something interesting is about to happen, but you won't get to find out quite yet. You have to get the next one to see how they resolve this new problem. And so in the long way to answer you, that's what I mean. So I guess I guess fusion, something like that. I don't know how to really
A
describe it other
hybrid.
than hybrid. There we go. It's like I'm taking the things that I love from both and slapping them together. I'm not sure if I'm going to color the whole thing or if I'm going to color like the first handful of pages and then do the rest in screen tones. Haven't even figured that out yet. I'll get there. But first I need the character sheets done.
Oh, hell yeah. I love it. I've actually been secretly working on a fantasy idea with one of my best friends. Like, basically, there was a period, like, about a year or so ago where I just got really inspired while I was watching a bunch of, like, stuff about mythology. And, like, basically, like, this was I had kind of a fantasy story in the back of my mind that I played with when I was younger. And I just kind of dropped it for a long time, and then my buddy kind of brought it up again, and I decided to kind of rework it, and I basically went ahead and I wrote out a big ol' mythology where I just took elements of different real world mythologies, that like aspects that I liked, and I just mixed and matched and I changed some things. So I am hoping eventually to do either like a graphic novel or something akin to that for that, and that would be called Element Blade.
Ooh, I like that name. That's nice.
So I'm hip to your jive.
You're picking up what I'm throwing down.
Hell yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously we're on the same page. We're of a like mind, so you get it. You get where I'm coming from. Plus, getting to play around in fantasy is so much fun, as it is with sci-fi and other things like that. But fantasy is just, oh, you get to break so many rules and create new ones too.
Oh yeah. Is it like, do you have like a system of like, does your world have like multiple gods or,
Yeah, so that's the funny thing. You asked a wonderful question in that, because the world that this book, I guess the world that this script and this book are set in is my it's my tabletop campaign setting that I run for my friends.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna write a story in my campaign setting. Like, why not? Let's have fun with it.
Well, shit. Now I got to check out this game.
I know, right? I use Pathfinder 2nd Edition to run the tabletop game. But I just set it in my home setting of Agrimore, which is in my Twitter handle, and of course here on screen. So I have it all set in my home setting. There is a pantheon of gods that I've worked on that are in the kingdom of Varsia, which is where subsequently this story that I'm working on takes place. There's old gods. There's people who worship the sun, which is totally not a shameless ripoff of Sun Bros from Dark Souls or anything like that.
I mean, I don't think that.
No, definitely not.
There was a Roman cult that worshipped the sun. I mean,
exactly. Have nature, people who worship a nature goddess. Some who worship an ancient dragon god. So a lot of like variety, and it really opens up a lot of space to expand and stuff. But I mean, one, I love my home setting and I love being able to build on it because I have so many building blocks there as it is. But two, because I shamelessly like telling stories, and I'm like, you know what? I already have a setting. Why reinvent the wheel? Let's just slap it in here. It'll just sit right nicely in there like a little Lego brick.
Hell yeah. That's basically what I did with like most of my modern stuff, like Outlaw Nights. Like that was an idea that I just came up with when I was way younger, and I had just seen the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
Ooh, yeah.
And I was like, I want to see badass pirates doing like, stuff with spaceships and guns. And I filed that away for like a later date. And when I heard everybody, you know, when I first got into like the indie comics and crowdfunding, and I saw how big of a movement it was becoming, like I was like, I want to write something for this. And I tried to do it from scratch, and then I was like, well, wait, I've already got stories that I just haven't touched. Like, why don't I use those?
Yeah. I mean, that's stellar, dude. And like, you're right. Getting to jump on the indie comic scene as it was starting to pick up some traction, an amazing point to start in. Plus, it's also really inspiring to see a bunch of indie creators come out with all these stories and see all the passion that they had behind them, see all the hype that they were building up, and seeing people on social media getting excited for them too. It's like, you really can't help but get infected with that excitement too, and, you know, take a little inspiration from that. Because, you know, whenever I first started chatting with you and some of the others in the indie scene, I was like, well, maybe I really should get on this and like try to, you know, make my little mark in here. I've always enjoyed comics, and my first go at it was like, God, I was a kid, and I turned the Star Fox, you know, Nintendo 64 game into a comic as my first try.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was cringy as heck, but you know what? Who cares? You know, you got to start somewhere. But it was really awesome getting to like, oh, love you too, fish food. But it was really awesome getting to meet everybody and like, you know, just getting to, you know, network with a bunch of fellow creators, and especially people who are so positive. You know, there's like, I haven't met anybody in the indie scene who, thankfully, who's creepy. Everybody's just like, we're like best friends at this point. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah. I don't think I've met anybody. Like, I have kind of like had weird things where like I think like personalities clashed, but it wasn't anything major. Like, there was no like, you know, there was no backbiting or whatever, all that. But yeah.
I mean, that just happens with human nature, though. Like, you're bound to have people who don't agree on things. It's just how you handle it is really what matters. So, if you know, if you don't agree with somebody, or if, you know, like they, you know, they're getting under your skin, like the best thing you can do is just walk away. Just walk away. Like, be the bigger person, walk away. Because nobody wins by fighting. You don't really get anywhere either. But yeah, so like, it's been awesome getting to like meet everybody, and you know, you and I have kept in contact even after I reset my Twitter. But like, it's been awesome.
I didn't find you again until recently.
Yeah, I dunked it because I had like 4,000 followers at the time, and I was in a really bad mental health state. I needed to be on antidepressants big time. So I got out of there, restarted it up again, and I'm, you know, starting for the bottom, if you really want to think of it that way. I really didn't care how many followers I had. It was taking too much away from, you know, from what little happiness I had at the time. The interactions that I had with everybody were really nice, but it's just, social media wasn't a healthy thing for me at the time. I'm in a better place now. I got on meds. I'm happy. Like, life is good, dude. So
fuck yeah.
Yeah, I'm like hitting the most successful years of my life now, and I got all my creative energy back, and that's kind of the most exciting part about all of it is I like almost fell into a creative rut. I had to leave it all behind for a while. I had to like set my hobbies down and like almost put them to rest, and it was kind of heartbreaking for a while, but then you know, I got where I am now, and I'm like, oh, I have all this creative energy, this boundless energy to do stuff again, and it's been exciting because it's part of the reason why I'm so motivated to get this story going, because I'm like, it's trying to tell itself. It's trying to use me as a conduit to come into the world, and I owe it the opportunity to live and be birthed. And plus, I just
freaking
yeah, and plus, like, the art is really fun to make, and I mean, I think I do really nice artwork, and
I agree.
Thank you. Like, there's some stuff that I've seen in the mainstream that I'm like, well, if they're putting that out, I can put something out.
That was literally what got my confidence up to do Outlaw Nights, was literally just seeing mainstream comics and like what they've what they've declined into.
Like
I would.
they've definitely gotten pretty bad as of late. One thing in particular that boosted the heck out of my confidence though was like a couple of pages in the Death of the Family arc of the New 52 Batman. Because there's like a lot of Capullo's artwork, and Jonathan Glapion does an amazing inking job on it. But there's some pages in there that you can tell it's a different artist that worked on it, and I'm like, this got put out? Like, what? I'm like, this, excuse me? I'm like, all right, if DC's putting this out, my art's pretty good. I could put that out into the world.
Oh God, and like my eyes were opened even further. Actually, like a couple of weeks ago, I was on another channel, and we were reading really bad comics for fun. We were being bad, and like the host, she pulled up a script by God, I'm blanking on her name right now, but she's that writer that was like became famous for doing the whole like, if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book. I totally forgot her name.
Is it like Gail Simone or something?
No, but she's connected.
Well, then I'm in the right ballpark, I guess.
But we pulled up one of her scripts, and I was flabbergasted at like her format was so off. Like it wasn't in traditional like comic script format, and like the way she was writing in the scene descriptions, it's like she was writing her stream of thought. It's like she's talking to the artist like it's an email almost, and she's like, well, I want it to kind of look like this. No, wait, maybe more like this. No, wait. And then like, and she's like putting links to like pictures of what she wants things to look like in the script. Like hyperlinks.
Okay.
And I was just, and I'm like, this person's working professionally. I'm like, good Jesus.
Dang. I mean, all right, that is pretty bad. I mean, I'll be honest, in my own scripting, I didn't do hyperlinks, but there's like a few panels where I'm like, I put a little note to myself where I'm like, maybe I should put more detail here, ? And I'm like, I'm gonna move on.
Well, that's not, I don't think that's not comparable to what I saw in there.
Well, apparently not. I mean, like, the big difference is this is a note to me rather than like a vague note to an artist.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of part of the process. Like, it's not hard and fast. I'm just like, this was a script being done professionally for an artist to review and make artwork off of. And it was like a big ol' email.
Oh, that's the worst.
Like,
that's like those really like snobby clients you end up working with, like for like, I shouldn't say like commission work, because they do show up, where you end up getting the ones that like have this long list of stuff they want you to do, but it tells you nothing. You know, like, oh, what's the scope of the work again? Like, what did you want? It's like, you told me all this stuff, and the only thing I can imagine to give you is a stick man holding a carrot, and that's all I got for you. So, give me more. I mean, that's the mental image I'm getting. It's probably nowhere near as close as the train wreck that you guys went through reading it, but
it was like she was trying to get a specific look to something, but she wasn't being succinct enough. She was being overly descriptive, and like, and from what I was reading I was like, what? Because she was like changing her mind in the script. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she writes something out, and then she's like, well, not quite like that. Maybe more like this. And it's like, you could have gone in and erase the first
I see
part.
what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah, because it's like you're right. It's a stream of consciousness thing, and sent that rather than going back through and being like, I don't need that. That's useless info. That's useless info. That's useless info. Like, just sent it off, essentially, is what it sounds like. Probably the first draft of it, too.
And it's funny because, like, she had this very detailed description of how she wanted, like, the lighting to look and everything. And in the finished product itself, like, all the lighting was just flat.
Oh,
it was just
that's
basic.
terrible.
I don't mind laughing because she's one of those activist types, and I don't dig that.
I dig cool people who treat each other with respect, man. That's my dig. I stay away from politics because it's very divisive, and honestly, there's enough like crap going on in the world. I just want to avoid that in my life. I just ignore it. I don't talk about it. I don't get into it. I don't like it. I keep it away. Religion and politics, not my vibe. I just keep it up. I want to get into the creative side of stuff. I want to get to know people like on that personal level and like build relationships and get to know what makes people tick. Get into their heads and what gets them excited about things, gets them excited about life. We don't need negativity in the world.
Well, that's a healthy attitude, but it also makes you problematic. So
well, that's fine. That's fine. Whatever. I can live with it. Like, I think I'm standing on a pretty good moral stance in that. So you know what? I'm fine. I can rest easy at night. My ancestors are smiling upon me.
Oh lordy, lordy.
I'm confident in that, and I will die on that hill.
Hell yeah. I actually want to, like, at some point on the channel, this is kind of a weird non sequitur, but like at some point on the channel, I was talking about this last time. Like, I really want to do a review of this old Mortal Kombat show called Mortal Kombat Conquest.
That sounds familiar.
I found out about it recently, and I wanted to know how I missed this gem, because it looks Walker Texas Ranger bad.
Ooh, that'd be entertaining.
The worse it is, the better for me.
Yeah, there's that like enters B movie tier of trash where you sit down, it's going to be bad, and you enjoy every second of it.
It's that classic form of bad that I miss. Nowadays, bad just means that like the show or whatever is just like bitter towards its audience.
Oh, I can't get into that. That's terrible. That's just that puts me off so much, man. I hate that.
I miss classic bad. Where our characters are just one-dimensional and they can do everything. That's what I loved about Walker Texas Ranger.
It's what I love about horror movies, where you have flat characters. They're all the same trope. There's nothing new. There's no dimension. You can try putting dimension into them, but it doesn't matter. They're gonna die anyway.
Yeah, I never got heavily into horror. I guess it was just that I most of them just didn't scare me.
They don't scare me either, but I'm still chasing that high.
I get that. Like, I know I got scared when I saw The Grudge. That creeped me out.
Yep. I couldn't sleep under a blanket for a week after watching that one the first time.
Yeah. When I first saw it, I couldn't sleep that night because I thought that a blue Chinese lady was gonna crawl on me. That shit freaked me out.
Yeah, that was freaky as hell. I just didn't want to like lift the covers and see a ghost woman like crawling at me. Like, no, not into that. No, thank you. No bueno. Nah, like I'd love horror movies though. Like that's kind of like my guilty pleasure. It's not even guilty, honestly, but like that's my comfort food in terms of like TV. Just give me horror movies. Old school
Well,
horror movies are the best. New stuff is okay, but I like the weird stuff.
yeah, I've noticed like horror is kind of like it's still going pretty strong nowadays, but it's like I haven't really heard of a movie that's like super creepy, like modern wise. Like, main thing I know is that like a lot of modern horror movies just rely heavily on some kind of social commentary allegory.
Oh yeah, I suppose so. I never really noticed that because I never paid attention to it. I'm there for watching. I'm there for the gore. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. The gore and the attempt at scaring me. I'll admit it. That's fine. It's like that's all I'm there for. You know, the characters are gonna die, so it's like, all right, cool. What creative ways are we gonna come up with to off these ones?
Hell yeah. I guess I never quite got into it just because like I'm more of like I like seeing the heroes prevail and some kind of good triumph in the end, and horror movies are usually, you know, a bunch of people who are kind of morally dubious.
They all
or
suck.
just yeah, they all just kind of get murdered horribly in different ways, and it ends very sadly and bleakly.
Well, I can definitely say, my friend, that as someone who enjoys, you know, heroic stories and seeing heroes triumph and seeing good destroying evil, triumphing over evil, you would enjoy the script for Void Knight because that's what I'm setting up.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, you doing okay over there?
Oh, yeah. I'm just dying, that's all.
Oh, well, don't do that. We're not done with you yet. But yeah, like, I'm going for that classic hero's journey. Good versus evil, swords and sorcery. There's going to be magic. There's going to be swords. There's going to be, like, fighting against the temptation of evil. Like, all that good stuff, man. It's, at the end of the day, it's a good old good versus evil. And at the end of the day, good will triumph. But as you know, it's a rough road to get to that ending.
Oh, hell yeah. I think that was like the best thing about 7 was just the fact that, you know, they eventually stopped Meteor and everything, but it came at huge costs.
But you know, it's because of all that buildup that really adds that weight to it, though, because it's a, you know, it's all a cause that you can get behind, and you can get behind the characters, you can get into their heads, and yeah, and they had to fight for it. They earned that, which is the big thing, is like your characters have to earn stuff, which is another big thing that I think that I'm very proud of, is that my main character is she's working hard to become a knight, and it's not going to be easy. She's going to have to earn that, and there's going to be lots of cuts and bruises and all sorts of struggles along the way, but she'll get there. But she's gonna earn that.
And I'm sensing from the way you've been describing the story, I'm sensing kind of like a not like, obviously not 1-to-1. I just mean like in terms of structure, like kind of a Rurouni Kenshin kind of vibe.
You know, Rurouni Kenshin is a really good like comparison. I love that. Like, I love the manga. I actually watched the live action films, which were just, oh, they were so good. If you have ever wanted to see anime and live action, those are the movies to do. And watch them in the native Japanese language with just like subtitles. It's so good, dude. It is so good. But yeah, you could absolutely say like the vibe is supposed to be like that, because like the main character is a pure-hearted character. She cares about her little sister. She gave up her hopes and dreams to raise her little sister and provide a good life for her sister. So that's kind of setting up the morality of this character. And you know, she's gonna work her way into becoming a knight and getting into these adventures she's always wanted to do. But in order to do that, I'm gonna have to, hurt her a little bit. The poor thing. Like after
Yeah.
I drew her face for the first time, like the final design, I'm like looking into those eyes, and I'm like, I feel guilty for what I'm about to put you through. And I'm like, should I rewrite the story so you don't have to? And I'm like, no, honey, you're gonna hurt, and I'm sorry. I hope you can forgive me.
That's the thing. I feel a little bad about the fact that in I can tell you that Cyrus is not my favorite character in Outlaw Nights, and he's the main character. But my favorite character is actually Ivory.
Oh heck yeah, that was my favorite too. Like the double page spread of meeting Ivory for the first time, I was like, oh, I love this one. This is good.
He's my dude. He's my, he embodies that that sly charm that I love about like the concept from Pirates. Like that was the thing that first drew me to like Jack Sparrow as a character, was just that he's not a hero, he's not a villain, he's out for himself, and he uses his wits more than anything. Although I will say Ivory's more violent than Jack Sparrow.
I mean, I kind of picked up on that vibe.
I loved the first Pirates movie. Like I thought like it was so good, and
that was lightning in a bottle, that movie.
Yeah, and I appreciate the other two after that, but I didn't like how they made it this giant arc where it's like you got one major story flowing through them. It's like, I feel like with that genre, they could have split it up to where each movie is like its own self-contained adventure. And like the main connecting thread is like you got Jack and the Black Pearl. But they decided, no, like we're going to have a big ol' arc where Davy Jones is after Jack, and now the East India Trading Company, they're trying to wipe out all pirates, and it's like, you can pull it back. We don't need all of that.
At least the visuals were really cool, though. We got a lot of good shots out of those.
That was the thing, like most people, I think they're not really big on the fourth and fifth ones, but I actually preferred those to the original two sequels, because I was like, well, at least these are self-contained little things.
I'll be honest, I haven't seen them, so I might have to put those into my rotation.
I don't blame you. I mean, usually I think people are kind of like, they kind of roll their eyes when they see 4 and 5. It's like,
yeah, that's kind of where I got with like the Marvel and DC cinematic universes, where I was like, oh yeah, like a couple of movies, I'm like, yeah, these are fun, and then they kept coming, and I'm like, give me something new.
I loved the Marvel stuff up until like, I think it was sometime in like phase 3. And it was that they started this pattern of like each movie is kind of like a carbon copy of the other, where it's like there's one kind of dramatic through line with a million stupid jokes thrown at you, and it's like the big thing that whole universe had going for it was just the fact that it's like, because everything's connected, you've got this history you're building that you can easily play with or flesh out or like add new twists to, and it's like they ignore half of it with each new installment, and it's like, well, then what's the point of all this shit being connected?
Yeah, I stopped watching them after Doctor Strange.
That's probably a good move.
Like, I saw that one, I was like, this is really good. And I saw the rest of them coming out, and I'm like, I'm done for now. I'll come back to these later eventually.
I stopped after Endgame, because that should have been the end of the whole thing. was Endgame. It's like, okay, you've wrapped up the overall giant thread with Thanos. It's like that's a good stopping point, but they decided no.
Oh, you know
Now
what? I will say I did watch Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. That was really good. If you think of it
I
as a
didn't
standalone movie.
I didn't see it, so
I enjoyed it, but I geek out a lot on like martial arts movies. So my girlfriend and we have like this massive backlog of martial arts films that we watch. Like we straight up just seek them out. Like I think Ip Man was like one of our favorites. We've
I
watched
love that movie.
Yeah, we've watched 3 of them, and the 4th one is on the docket, and we're kind of like afraid to watch it because we're like, the good thing is gonna end after this movie is over. We gotta get a backlog of like old Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee movies. There's also a lot of really awesome foreign films that we found through. I think like Chocolate is one of them. It's such a weird movie, but really cool. But like Rurouni Kenshin, I think is probably the like favorite in the household currently. Like that little trilogy, like straight up, dude, you have to watch it if you enjoy anime in any way, shape, or form. It's so good.
Well, I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan.
Well, then you'll probably like it. You know what? Dragon Ball was fun growing up. I think it was Dragon Ball Z when I was, oh god, like I think we're like the same age roughly, but I think it was Dragon Ball Z when we were growing up.
I'm pretty sure. I'm 33.
Ooh, you got me beat by 2 years. Because like I remember watching all of Dragon Ball Z growing up, like in high school. Like I remember all of it, and I would meet up at a buddy's place, and we would just sit down and watch the new episode, and then we would play video games and stuff. It was pretty nice. But Dragon Ball Z, those are good stuff.
I love them, and like that's why I loved. I'm a fan of Super, although Super has some flaws, but I'll take them any day over the shit that happened in Dragon Ball GT.
I haven't seen GT. I don't know if I'll get around to it anytime soon because I'm on a mecha kick, and I'm like, there's some Gundam I need to catch up on, and I need to get a Crunchyroll account and do some catching up on that.
Yeah, I'm a normie when it comes to Gundam. Like I only remember parts of Wing.
Gundam Wing is where I started. Char's counterattack was like my favorite. I actually have Char's I think it's the Sasaki. I have that model, but I need to go find that and then reassemble it. But I have that, and that was my favorite of the bunch. Gundam Wing was my introduction, and I loved it. There's a lot of really good series though. The newest one, the Witch from Mercury, seems really cool.
I'm getting the vibe that you probably were like me and you probably watched Toonami back in the day.
I did watch Toonami back in the day. Yep. I watched Toonami, and
that was what introduced me to all of it, you know.
Yep.
And that
Toonami was the best.
That's what made me a big fan of Tenchi Muyo.
Well, there you go. There you go. Yeah, man, I grew up on all that stuff, so Toonami was the big thing. I think, like Ghost in the Shell, Evangelion, Akira, those are all really good. Shamelessly love all of them.
Hell yeah.
But
Hell
yeah, so you know, you and I, we're cut from the same cloth, man. You get it.
I'm hip to your jive.
Exactly. The peanut butter to my best friend Jelly.
Hell yes.
Yeah. But yeah, so like same page on a lot of stuff, and overall really stoked to talk stories and stuff. I really want to see what happens with Outlaw Nights 2 whenever you restart the campaign. Because I think it should be funded, in my personal humble opinion.
I mean, I'm inclined to agree with you, but I'm not biased or anything. But
no, there's no bias in this whatsoever. I mean, I genuinely do enjoy this story, but also, it's like, as a friend, that needs to succeed because I want to see my friends succeed.
Well, yeah. And I want to see Void Knight. I gotta get in on that on the ground floor.
Absolutely. I will send you a Google Drive link so that way you can read the PDF.
Hell yeah. And
Yep.
it is about that time to wrap it on up for this evening. But I loved this, and you are more than welcome to come back on anytime. I'd love to
Absolutely.
chat with you again.
Yeah, we can hang out and chat anytime. Just hit me up and we'll figure out a schedule, and I'll get you down, and we'll come back on here and have some fun.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much, Mel. And
Thank you for having me.
Where can we all find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Mel_of_Agrimore, and Agrimore is spelled Agrimor, and it's also on screen here. Or if you find our lovely host Fuseboxx on Twitter, you'll find him interacting with my tweets, and you can find me that way. Most of my art will be posted there. I should probably be better about Instagram, but we'll get around to it. I'll do more updates about Void Knight as time goes on, and I'll put a link to. I'm probably going to host the first chapter on my website, just for people to see if they dig it. But yeah, I'll keep everybody informed of that as it goes.
Hell yeah. And I am, of course, Ben, aka the Fuseboxx. And you can find me on Twitter at Knights Outlaw with an N, not a K. And you can also find me on Instagram at Outlaw Knights. And you can find me on Facebook under my real name, Ben Fuselier, Fuselier. And yes, indeed, if you like anything we had to say, go ahead, hit the like button. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button. Be sure to hit the bell for notifications. Hell, if you didn't like anything we had to say, go ahead and hit the dislike button. Because I feed off of the attention, both positive and negative. It sustains my existence.
At least you're honest.
I love it. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us, everybody, both in the chat and in replay. And we will talk to you all later.
Yeah, have a good night, everyone.